Hello, welcome back to Cracking the Cryptic, where today I think we're going to take a look at this puzzle. Those of you new to the channel may not be aware that Mark tends to test a lot of the puzzles that get sent in, and then he selects which ones might be suitable for a video. Doesn't give me any hints as to what's involved, so I don't know how hard puzzles are or how easy they are and what techniques they need to solve them. I mean, Mark's very much a speed solver, so he doesn't tend to look at some of the very complicated logical techniques, but he says that this is a good puzzle, so we're going to take him on trust and have a go at it. Now, if you want to have a go first, click on the link under the video. It will take you to our software. You'll see exactly what I'm seeing, and you can have a go either before or after you watch me, as you like. And here we go. So I'm going to put ones into those two squares as usual. If I pencil mark in the corner of squares like this, that's referring to box logic. That's looking at 3x3 blocks and identifying that a number can only go into two positions within a 3x3 block. We should be able to do that in a few places. These fives, look, I mean there must be a 5 in this square. Pencil fives down there. Where now? These 8s and this 8. I mean there's an 8 in this square. Okay, and that gives us a nice 1-8 pair look in the top box. So one of the good things about this pencil mark notation, if you manage to lock the same number, or two numbers I should say, into the same two cells, you know this forms a pair. So I know now that nothing else can go into these two cells. They form a 1-8 pair, and that might be useful. We shall see. So now this 2 and this 2 allow me to pencil mark 2's into one of these two squares. And I can do that because I know that there cannot be a 2 in either of those squares, because they must be a 1 and an 8. And that in turn allows me to place a 2 here, look, because of the combination of these 2's. So we force a 2 into this square, and now that must be a 2. Again, just working the 2's around. And now we can pencil mark 2's down here as well. So we get a 2-5 pair in this bottom box. And immediately, just so that you know, what I'm doing here is once I get this 2-5 pair, I can see it makes a complete line. So I'm scanning upwards. That's going to be my most fruitful place. If I can find a digit up here that doesn't appear down here, and you can see this 6 as the prime candidate, then I'm going to be able to either get pencil marks or perhaps even a digit from that. You can see that's the case here. So I get the 6. I can pencil mark 6's over on this side, but more importantly, these 3 6's now mean this square is the only place a 6 can go in the bottom left hand box. Pencil mark 6's here. And now my eyes are drawn to this 9, because it's obviously there cannot be a 9 in either of those two squares. So let's place 9's there. Again, the 9's are interacting nicely now. This square must be a 9 in the top box, top left hand box. Locks a 9 into one of these two squares. Just so you know, what I did then in placing these 9's, I immediately looked at that square. The reason? If I could eliminate a 9 from this square, then I would know the 9 in this block was somewhere in those squares. I wasn't really looking at the 2 and the 5, and that would have matched the positions of the 9's in this top right hand box. I would have had 9's in the same column, and I would have been able to know there was a 9 in column 7 in this 3x3 block. But that wasn't the case, but that's just an illustration of how my scanning works. Now let's have a look a bit harder. So now these 1's all of a sudden become more interesting on this box, because now there must be a 1 in one of those two squares, therefore one of those two squares. These 6's allow me to pencil mark 6's up there. 2, 5. And this 4 has an impact on this block, look. I'm going to be able to pencil mark 4s into those 2 squares, and therefore there must be a 4 up here because of this combination. And again we get this complete line effect. So moving down, this 7 all of a sudden has more power than it once had. We can pencil mark 7s into those squares. And the number we haven't yet sort of done anything with in this top right hand box is the 8. And you can see actually we don't know much about 8s. We certainly don't know enough, I don't think, to pencil mark anymore. Although these 8s do have an effect on this box. We can pencil mark 8s into those 2 squares and therefore into one of those 2 positions. Still don't think we quite break through. 5s, 9s we've looked at. Just going to check this column. You can see we have a lot of digits already. We need a 3, 4 and a 7 to complete this column. And actually look, there's a 3 and a 4 there. So let's get the 7 in. And in fact, this 3 is also nice. That means this square must be a 4. So there's a 3. We can unwind the 3, 4 and the 7 missing digits from column 2. Now that should be helpful. Yes, it is. Now we have 4s here and this 4, which means this square must be the 4 in the bottom or the left-hand middle box. Now, as in placing this 4, I will also take the place of 6. So that gives me another digit there. Obviously, this square must be a 5 now to complete the box. And now these 5s and this 5 are massive because they're going to allow us to place a 5 here. That took the place of an 8. So again, there's all sorts of things going on here now. Actually, there is all sorts of things. Let's pause and take a look at this. I'm sure you can see loads of different places to make progress. We'll just add the 1 to column or row 5, otherwise that will guess at my OCD. But let's firstly have a look at 5s. Now these 2 5s here and these 2 5s here are important. So again, we have the effect that if we looked at the finished solution, we know there'll either be a 5 here and a 5 here, or the only other thing that can exist is a 5 here and a 5 here. Now, that's important because that means that in the rest of these rows, row 7 and row 8 here, there can't be 5s in any of those squares. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means that when we come to this block over here, 5 must lie in one of those 2 squares. It must lie in row 9. You can see there's a 5 there, look. So actually, without even checking, I could go 5, 9. These 2 squares must be 3 and 7. Let's highlight that and carry on. Now the 9 here, we'll just check whether that does anything. Well, it does, doesn't it? Because we actually looked at these 9s earlier. So now I've eliminated the 9 from this square. I know the 9 is down here, and therefore the 9 must be in one of these 2 squares in this block here. Now the other thing that this 5-8 combo did was it gave us 8s like this and 8s up here. And again, we can just scan leftwards and we find 8s mirroring the position of the 8s in this block. And again, this is even more powerful this time, because we know the 8s will either be here and here, or here and here. And therefore, there's no 8 here, there's no 8 here, there's no 8 here. So where am I going to put the 8? In row 2, and it can only go into this square. And look, the moment I place this 8, magic happens, because I take the position of a 1, so I can place that. That 1 took the position of a 9, that 9 took the position of a 7, and all of a sudden we've done this block. This 8 also points down here at this 8, so this can't be an 8 anymore. And that means this square is an 8, which is going to take the position of a 6. And you can see that all of a sudden the puzzle is quickly becoming, well, extremely tractable. Let's just take a quick look at this box. We still need 3, 7 and 9. So there's a 3 here, so there must be a 3 in one of those two squares. We don't yet, well, I suppose this 7 as well means there's a 7 in one of those two positions. So this must be the 3. That means this is a 3 at the bottom, which we could have got anyway because we had pairs like that. But there's an awful lot going on in this puzzle in terms of ways to make progress now. You can see in row 6 we need a 7 and a 9, and there's a 9 up there, so that must be 7, that's 9, that's 7. These two squares must be 1, 4 and 9. Let's just put that in like that, for the sake of good order. And where should we look now? Well, this 1 unwinds these 8s over here. So 1, 8, 8 like that. These two squares have got to be 2 and 3, and look, there's a 3 here. There's nothing. So now, you know, our technique, if you like, has completely blown the puzzle open. We're starting to cook with gas now. We need a 1 and a 7 into those two squares. Let's pencil mark that in. And along here we still need, what's it going to be, a 3, a 4 and a 6. So again, I'm tempted to just go 3, 4, 6 like that. This is into 3, and this is into 6. Where would I look now? Well, probably I'd either look at this row or this column, just because of the number of given digits. You can see we need 1, 2, 3 and 4 into the open positions in this column. And the fact there's a 1 in one of those two squares would immediately attract my attention, because I need to put a 1 somewhere in the column. There's actually only one candidate square now, and it's that one. So now this square can only be a 3 or a 4. That's going to match the 3 and the 4 there, so this is the only place a 2 can go. This 2 hits the 2 of 5 pair on the right hand side. Let's unwind that. This 5 now hits this 5, so I'm going to be able to place a 5 here and a 1 here. So let's do that to see how that works out. 5 and 1. The 1 here now unwinds the 1 and the 7. These two 7s now force a 7 into this square, and that's going to affect the 3, 7 over here. So, as ever with the Sudoku, once you start to make progress, it becomes much easier. You can see this square must be 4 or 9. That forms a 4, 9 pair with this square. So this square can no longer be a 4. And I suppose following that through, this square must be a 3 or a 6. Because it must be the counterpart to this one, and there's a 6 here, so this should be a 3, this should be a 6, this is now a 4, this is a 3, that unwinds the 4 and the 9 in the middle, this should be 9, 9, 4, and if I haven't made a mistake, and I hope I haven't, this should be a 4. That looks good, let's check it. So that's how to solve a hard Sudoku puzzle. I say, nothing terribly complicated there, but with good technique we flew through it. So let me know how you got on, be interested to hear, and we'll be back soon with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.